That's always a classic. Alright, so, would you like to see me play a game? Sure you do. Let's not waste any time. This is Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, so where to begin? Okay, so, if you are one of the two followers that actually enjoy watching any new content that I post on YouTube, and you're watching this right now, you're probably wondering, why am I doing a Let's Play? Why have I suddenly started craving for a Let's Play? Well, maybe you're not actually asking that question, so much as just me giving myself a rhetorical way to ease my way into actually explaining why it is that I'm actually doing a Let's Play. Well, I can break it down into three reasons why I've started doing this. The first reason, and probably the simplest of them all, I always desired to do a Let's Play. That's pretty much the basics. um, it's something I've always wanted to do. I'm not sure if I'm the most charming person out there. Well, no, not so much charming. I should say, I'm not sure if I got the charisma to do something like this. Nor do I think that I have the proper voice for something like this. Every time I hear my own voice, it sounds so nasally and something like that, you know? I'm sure you can all relate. Every time you hear your own voice in a video, it kind of sounds messed up, right? That's just natural, I suppose. But regardless of all that, I still want to take a shot at trying a Let's Play. I'm not sure if this is going to be an ongoing series, but I do intend to, every now and then, attempt a Let's Play. And I think the best way for me to get started on doing something like this would be if I play a game that I'm more familiar with. Which leads me to my second reason for doing all this. Um, I like I like revisiting the old Sonic games. I grew up on the classic Sonic games. Well, I grew up more with Sonic 2, but I have played Sonic 1 and Sonic 3 here and there, but nonetheless, I always like playing these old games whenever I get the chance, even when I'm pretty busy with my own backlog of games. I mean, as of this post, I'm currently playing the Resident Evil series, which is something I've never done before. And I sort of regret not recording myself playing that game, but that was only because I didn't have the proper equipment at the time. And I think it's a little too late for me to start showing what I got. I'm halfway through Resident Evil 4 as of this video's post. But anyway, I think it's much better if I play something that I'm more familiar with. And with that, I got the Sonic games here. Now, there's actually a third reason behind all this as to why I wanted to do a Let's Play, and it's probably the most important reason why. I am very excited for Sonic Mania. I was initially going to do a blind Let's Play of Sonic Mania as my first Let's Play, but I think that would have been very troublesome because I'm still an amateur when it comes to Let's Plays. So it would be a great idea if I were to, say, adjust myself to doing something like this before tackling the blind playthrough that is Sonic Mania. And yeah, I am very excited for Sonic Mania. Super excited, man. So, now that I got all the boring stuff out of the way, now I can actually get to talking about Sonic himself, or, the series. So, if you want to sit here and watch what I gotta say, be my guest. The only thing I ask is, if you want to, leave a comment and tell me what I can do to improve myself. And I will definitely hear any criticisms out there. I am a complete amateur, I am well aware of that, so just be aware that I might be slurring some lines here and there, you know? And also, I'm not going to be speedrunning these games. I'm not going to try to, but if you see me, blasting through the stages, that's only because I'm doing it pretty naturally. I mean, I did grow up on these games, so I kind of know these stages like the back of my hand. Well, let's see, because it's been a while since I played Sonic 1 in particular. So now that we got all the boring stuff out of the way, let me just continue rambling on, shall we? So, this is Marble Zone. From my understanding, this is a stage that not many people are very fond of. And I can sort of see why, actually. I'm not particularly a fan of this stage. That's mainly because, when all is done in Green Hill Zone showcasing the awesome speed that Sonic has, all of a sudden, you come to this very blocky type stage. And suddenly, the flow of speed is gone. And suddenly, we have to be reminded that it's not just about speed, but a little bit about platforming too. Not sure if this is the best kind of platforming that Sonic has to offer, but nonetheless, it is platforming. And actually, I'm reminded of a video that I saw a while ago. It was posted by the people from Red Alert Media. It's a series that they're doing called Previously Recorded, where they record themselves playing some games. And it just so happens that they did one controversial video about Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, why do I say it's controversial? Because they themselves say it. Seriously, I think there's something obnoxious about someone being self-aware of the fact that they have made a video that they are completely aware of the fact that they're going to piss off a bunch of fans. There's something obnoxious about that I'm not really too fond of. And I mean, it is such an easy target for, I should say the Sonic fans are such an easy target to do something like that because, well, if you've been on the internet for as long as I have, you'll know that the Sonic fan base is considered to be one of the worst out there. And that's kind of the reason why I try not to make myself notable for being a Sonic fan. In fact, I don't want to say I regret doing something like this, but, I want to showcase that, when it comes to, Sonic fans, I'm a pretty chill dude. For some reason, I've had people think that I'm some sort of, crazy lunatic for even liking a Sonic franchise, even up to this point, because, well, the Sonic series hasn't been doing so well. And while it is disappointing to see that the Sonic series isn't doing so well now because the games aren't all that good, I still enjoy Sonic in general. I mean, there's nothing wrong with booting up the old games and enjoying what was good there to begin with. But anyway, I'm rambling on a little too far. So, Previously Recorded did a video where they were talking about Sonic. And in that video, they had mentioned that they feel that Sonic is overrated. They think that the old Sonic games were never that good to begin with. Citing that the marketing has been telling the audience that Sonic has been all about speed. And when you play the actual Sonic games, it's actually a bad thing to go fast. Because in later stages, like Marble Zone, or I'm guessing Labyrinth Zone, if you try to go fast, you're going to run into a lot of hazards because you can't react in time. Well, their final verdict is Sonic is overrated, and it has a lot to do with the marketing. Now, on the one hand, I can see where they're coming from with this. It is a bit of an annoyance that while Sonic may have been advertised to be all about the speed and stages coming, I should say the stages are designed more about platforming than it is about having a good sense of speed and flow to it. I completely disagree that Sonic is overrated just through marketing, because truth be told, and this is my own personal opinion on the matter, but I honestly think that marketing is only half of a game. You can market a game all you want, but if the game itself is not that good to begin with, it doesn't matter how much you could pull through and make an advertisement as cool as possible. And we know Sega did push Sonic to be this rad, cool dude with a tube back in the 90s. I mean, Sonic is the epitome of the 90s mascot after all. If the game itself isn't that good, nobody's gonna enjoy it. And yeah, I've heard stories of, kids not knowing what's good for them. But even if kids are this stupid, what's really important is if a game itself has enough charm to make it last for a while. And keep in mind, these Sonic games were designed back in those days when arcade gaming was the kind of style of gameplay that we had. A lot of these games in the 90s were translating itself into console gaming, with the same sort of principle of what arcade gaming had, where your skills are based on how very often you play the game, giving you the knowledge ahead of yourself to be able to master these games. And since these games didn't have a save function, well, there were a lot of games in the 90s that allowed you to save, but Sonic wasn't one of them. Since Sonic doesn't allow you to save, you had to play the game in one sitting. So by playing these stages over and over, you improve, you start to understand what's going on around you. You build the knowledge that allows you to get through very fast. It's probably one of the things that makes speedrunning possible. You can't speedrun a game the first time you play it, because you don't know what's going to be happening up ahead. And yeah, you can be skillful in dodging a lot of the things the first time around, but you could get better every time you play this game. And I gotta tell you, I've been playing these games so often that it's become second nature for me to just goof around while also knowing what's up ahead. Why? Because, that's how I roll. But anyway, I honestly believe that the Sonic series are great. Now, it's not just me saying that in a very biased sort of way. I do think that these games are solid platformers. You just have to understand that while speed may be something that what's the best way I can actually word this? Even though these games may be centered around speed, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be about speed. I mean, part of the charm that I see in the Sonic series is the fact that Sonic is designed around the idea of pinball physics. I mean, think about it. Sonic can roll into a ball. So, by that logic, if you go down a hill and you roll into a ball, you're going to pick up some good speed. And while you're in a ball form, you're not so much impervious, but you're in the form where you are least likely to get hurt, because your roll can damage enemies like I just did there. So, while these two guys, these two middle-aged men, can say all they want about these Sonic games, it's not going to tarnish the fact that there were kids that grew up on these games. And maybe I'm just sounding like a doofus, or maybe a dweeb, I don't know, but I honestly think these guys need to go back and get good. I got squashed there. I honestly think these guys need to get good. Because, gaming isn't about just, holding your hand and getting through. You gotta get some knowledge, man. You gotta be playing these games. Get to understand the principles of these games, how the stages are laid out. And then get better at it. Get better at the game with every play you do. After all, we no longer have to worry about putting in a quarter every time to play a game over and over again. We have the liberty to play these games as much often as we want. That's my whole 2 cents on the matter. And when I say marketing, I think that marketing, like I said, is only half of what makes a game good. I honestly think it also has a lot to do with how charming the character themselves happens to be. Because Sonic started this whole trend of mascot platformers. Some worked, like Earthworm Jim, and some, like Bubsy, didn't work. And actually, Bubsy is a stark contrast to Sonic himself. In fact, I like to look at Bubsy as a complete parody of what we know about Sonic. Bubsy is an annoying character. And I don't just say that because I'm annoyed by him. No, he's literally designed to be annoying. Even down to having a catchphrase such as, "What could possibly go wrong?" which is a trope. Anytime you hear someone say that on TV, you know something's gonna go wrong. The irony here is that Bubsy went on to have a terrible series, with Bubsy 3D being the final nail in the coffin. So you have Bubsy, this very cartoony, annoying, obnoxious character that's trying his best to get your attention. Meanwhile, we have Sonic here, this very focused type character. The one who isn't trying to get your attention, he's just impatient, waiting for you to actually play. He's not gonna start barking out any dumb catchphrases or anything like that. No, he's just gonna wait there until you move. And you gotta get moving. Because while these games may not be all about speed, you still have the potential to go fast. And thus, your skill is dictated by how good you could get through these stages fairly quickly. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I know for a fact that part of what makes Sonic so much fun is taking advantage of Sonic's own speed and putting it to good use through these stages. I mean, you go and you watch any Sonic speedrun for any game, whether it be the classics or the new ones like Sonic Generations and Unleashed, and I'll tell you, there's some of the most impressive stuff you'll ever see. Like, it's the stuff I've seen that I think it's impressive, and I'm sure there are people out there that think it's impressive. I mean, as impressive as it'll get for gaming. I'm sure there are people out there that aren't really fond of the whole idea of speedrunning. But whatever. Sonic was designed with speedrunning in mind. I remember Yuji Naka had pointed out that in his early days, he used to play Mario, and he always liked to time himself. So with that idea of trying to beat a stage fast, he wanted to create the concept around speedrunning. And that's how Sonic came to be. But Sonic was designed more around physics for speed, not just instant boosting like we have now. That's actually one of the things that makes Sonic stand out. Because there are people out there that say that when you have Mario and Sonic running side by side in their own games, Mario tends to run faster than Sonic. And that may be true, but that's only in their base speed side by side. Mario doesn't have unlocked speed, whereas Sonic does. After all, his games were designed with slopes and loops in mind. And while yeah, there's lots of dangers ahead of you, if you could take advantage of any slope, you'll be going really fast. So yeah, that's my whole 2 cents on the fact. Those guys that previously recorded, they gotta get good. Simple as that. However, I will say that there are some things here and there that I'm not really too fond of. Like for example, in Spring Yard Zone, there's I wonder if I can get out of here. I don't actually remember there was a way out of here. Hold on. Nah, it's just a little passageway for rings. Kind of feels pointless. But anyway, as I was saying, there's a part in this stage that I'm not too fond of because there is one thing I kind of don't like about the Sonic series, and that's playing the waiting game. For example, we have these platforms here. We gotta wait for the platforms to allocate itself before you can move forward. I'm not gonna say I'm against this, but I will say that it can sort of break the flow. So this is one of those times where I'll say, yeah, these are the kinds of stuff that sort of needs to go. And luckily, we don't get a lot of that in some of the later games. A lot of the stuff that Sonic 1 could be forgiven because it is the early iteration of the Sonic series. They were, of course, just testing the waters. They had the physics ready, but not the stages. But that's just my own theory, of course. Man, listening to this song again, I forgot how much I loved Starlight Zone's music. No, I'm sorry, not Starlight Zone. Spring Yard Zone, sorry. Oh boy, I gotta be correcting myself a lot here. So yeah, Spring Yard Zone. Love it. It's got this very funky, groovy type music to it. Of course, you can't hear it now. Now we're hearing it. Just listen to that bass. It's got that very groovy noise. It's so uncanny, man. That can only be done with the power of the Yamaha chip that the Genesis came equipped with. And it's funny because I remember when I was a kid, I actually did have a Yamaha keyboard. It didn't have the exact same sounds that the Genesis offered, but I remember when I was a kid, I tried replicating the same bass sound. It didn't work. But, I mean, I came close as far as I can recall. But yeah, there's no mistaking this kind of music. Very cool. And that's actually another thing about the Sonic series that makes it so appealing. The music. Of course, everyone will agree that if there's one thing that Sega can do right, it's the music. Even back in the old days, the Sonic series was always well known for having great music. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a big fan of the music for Sonic 1. Not because I don't like it, but because it's not quite as memorable for me as some of the later later games. I'm sure a lot of people will agree that I think the best soundtrack, or the one that we think is the best soundtrack out of the classic trilogy, has got to be Sonic 3. And that's not just because Michael Jackson helped out with the soundtrack. No, the music itself is just really rocking it out. But more on that at a later time. I will be exploring a lot of these old Sonic games, and at some point I do plan to play Sonic 3, so I'll talk more about that once we actually reach that game. You know, I have to wonder if, looking at this stage, this is not a casino stage, not at all. But it wouldn't surprise me if this stage is what inspired some of the later stages to, not later stages, later games to feature a casino-based stage. I mean, think about it. Even though this doesn't have any sort of gambling thing to it, it's got this Vegas feel to it, I want to say. Like, it's taking place somewhere in the early sunset, late early morning kind of nighttime vibe. Not quite nighttime, just a sunset type vibe. With a city skyline off in the distance, Rocky Mountains, And I think the most important aspect here, the neon coloring that we see here, like these vibrant lights, these neon lights. Every now and then you also see some neon words, such as cope, which I never understood why it said cope. What are they implying there? I don't think I'll ever know, nor do I actually want to question it any further. But yeah, it's a trope now that we have casino levels in the later games. Yeah, see, this is the part that I'm not too fond of. Just getting around here, not all that exciting. I mean, I'm not going to fault the game. I'm not going to say, like, that's the worst thing ever. I'm just saying it does sort of break the pace, but it's not as bad as what the previously recorded dudes made it out to be. You just got to have some knowledge. See, this part is just fun. I think what makes a game really good isn't just the fact that platforming is a good thing. You gotta have a character that feels really good to control. And if you got a character that's good to control, the stages themselves also need to take that advantage. Like, kind of like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games. What makes those games fun, is the fact that it's not just you have these insane amount of controls in your skateboard. It's also the fact that you got this really huge park to mess around in. You could just sit there for ages messing around, exploring areas, finding little nook and crannies to mess around with, and of course just showing off your own skills. And I think Sonic is in dire need of games like that, where you got this really cool physics-based gameplay and a huge playground to mess around in. Because I know for a fact that when I was a kid, I wasn't always just trying to beat the stage as fast as I can. I think the other part that I always enjoyed was just rolling around. If I would find a half pipe, I would just keep rolling to the left, to the right, seeing how high I can go. That is much more fun than just beating the game normally. A game that allows players to do whatever they want at their own heart's content is probably one of the most important things that a game should have. And while you can mess around with Sonic, I think the only problem is you're on a time limit. Which you can't tell because the clock in these games are always counting upwards. I certainly didn't know that you had 10 minutes to beat these stages. If it counted downwards, it would probably make a little more sense, but not here. Not at all. Yeah, running up these slopes involve having to pick up a little bit of speed. See, look at that, cope. What is that? I'm sure it's some sort of Japanese term. At least that's what I want to believe it is. I have no idea. This part may be slow, but it serves its purpose of giving you a little build-up, which builds you up to this part. I mean, it's not exactly the most phenomenal build-up, but nonetheless, it's a slow little build-up, just preparing you for what's up ahead. This boss battle in general, it's pretty easy. Just gotta wait underneath Robotnik and make sure that you dodge him as soon as he comes down on you. Also, you gotta make sure not to leave too many gaps on the ground. Come on. There we go. Very simple. By the way, you probably may have noticed this already, but I'm also not trying to get all the Chaos Emeralds. I just want to play these games at my own leisure. Labyrinth Zone. Now, true to its own name, this entire stage is just one giant labyrinth. Again, this is less to do about speed and more about platforming, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, what does make this stage much tougher than the previous ones is the fact that now you're underwater. And for whatever reason, the developers behind this game thought that hedgehogs can't swim, so as a result, Sonic just ends up sinking to the bottom of the ground. Still though, it's not bad. If anything, being underwater can sorta help you time your jumps a little better. Just gotta make sure that before you continue moving further, you always get these bubbles. No ifs, ands, or buts. If you start running out of air, that's all on you. There we go. But there sure are a lot of traps here, man. If you're not careful, some of these platforms will take you up to the sky and make you ram right into those spikes in the air. Or in the ceiling, I should say. I probably shouldn't have gone back for that bubble, since there was already a big one here. Just gotta time it right here. There we go. Gotta be careful here, because again, there are spikes on the ceiling. Hold on. It never hurts to look around with Sonic. In this game, the camera moves up and down almost instantly the moment you start looking up and down. For whatever reason in the later Sonic games, you have to hold up for a couple of seconds before the camera actually pans up. It always bothered me that you couldn't just make it move up and down instantly. To me, it's very important that you could do that because it allows you to look around fairly quickly and watch your surroundings. But for whatever reason, they just removed that feature and now you gotta wait for it. And that's a bad thing. But I guess it's because the stage didn't have as much hazards upwards and downwards. At least, that's my own guess. I know I keep on rambling on about the music, but I gotta say, I also love Labyrinth Zone. This music is so groovy and funky. It's that bass, man. That bass is what makes this music so great. There we go. I really hate those enemies. Those spiky little enemies that throw those spikes at you. Very annoying. Especially in Starlight Zone where you start to run into the yellow ones which can't actually throw those things at you. So you have to completely avoid them. Or use your invincibility frames to hit them anyway. I'm gonna wait for a bubble here. There we go. You know what's funny? Actually, now that I'm looking at the background here. Whoa. Okay. That background you see there. What is that? When I was a kid, I always thought that was a pig. Like a very angry pig. I mean, look at it. It looks like a snout. I mean, look at it now. Looking at it now, I think it's supposed to be like some sort of coral reef. I got no idea. And that one up there looks like a very sad squid. Or an alien. I don't know. Whew. I believe we are now halfway through the game, right? I think we are. It's been a while since I played Sonic 1, so I kind of don't remember a lot of these stages. I believe after this one it's Starlight Zone, and then after that it's Scrap Brain, right? I'm pretty sure. You know, I'm also contemplating on whether or not I should do Sonic 4. I mean, technically it's a classic game, but not really. Not at all. I mean, yeah, on the one hand, it did try to follow along with the classic Sonic games, but the problem is that it tried to replicate the look, but it certainly didn't replicate the feel, which is very important. I hear people say that, oh, the game could have been better if you used classic Sonic instead of modern Sonic, but that's the least of the problems. I mean, that's more of an aesthetic problem if anything. I have no problems with whether or not it's a classic Sonic or modern Sonic, because to me they're both the same Sonic, and while, you know, one may have a preference over the other, I've never really had any preference over one or the other. I've always liked both classic and modern equally. I mean, it's still Sonic in the end. I mean, I know I've heard people say, oh, you know, modern Sonic is such an ugly, tall character. I much prefer the pudgy short one. And that's perfectly fine, you know. That's cool. I support your views on that. I love classic Sonic 2, but I also enjoy modern Sonic. You know, it's never wrong to enjoy both of them. I mean, I'm very flexible in these kinds of things. I think the one thing you'll learn about me is I'm pretty cool in general with these sort of things. I don't easily get angry at a lot of things, but when I do, it's because somebody totally fucked up. But yeah, when it comes to these Sonic games, I'm pretty chill for the most part. I mean, I've had some complaints before. There are some games that I don't like. But instead of just complaining about it endlessly, I just put it away and just ignore it. I mean, what's the point? You know? What's the point of complaining all the time? It's always better to just go back to what was good. I mean, I understand you always want a new game that can rekindle that love. And, you know, Sega does tend to throw a bone every now and then. I mean, that's why we're getting Sonic Mania. And like I said before, I am very excited for Sonic Mania. Even if half the stages are nothing but remixes. And when I mean remixes, I mean like remixes of old stages. Which I would be more upset with if it wasn't for the fact that, you know, they did promise that it's going to be a huge remix. And judging by Green Hill Zone, we're in for quite a cool ride, I suppose, because in the Green Hill Zone stage in Sonic Mania, it showcased that at one point you could go underground, which was something you never actually did in the old Green Hills, the Green Hill Zone stage. In fact, I believe that was actually inspired by the Sonic Generation stage, the one where in Green Hill Zone where you can actually grind underwater. Not underwater, I should say underground, which is really cool. And if that was the actual inspiration, props to Christian Whitehead for doing something like that. Actually, one thing I want to know, if we're gonna get like a remix stage, I'm pretty sure that one of the remix stage has got to be an underwater level. Because even though people don't like the underwater stages, they are a staple in the Sonic series. And if we are going to get an underwater level, which one will it be? I am hoping that it's Hydrocity Zone. That's my favorite underwater themed stage. Not just because the stage itself looks pretty darn cool, but because the music is so freaking awesome. I would love to hear T-Lopes' take on that song. By the way, if you don't know who T-Lopes is, shame on you. T-Lopes is a very, very talented musician. If you want to hear more of his music, he released, well not released, he worked on the soundtrack for this mobile game called Major Magnet, which I believe are the same people that are helping out with Sonic Mania. Pagoda West, right? Yeah. Major Magnet is a totally fun little physics-based game where you control magnet to orbit around certain objects. And by using physics, you're able to fling off certain objects. But what I think really helped tie the game together was the music. That music in Major Magnet has so much Sonic CD vibes in it, it's not even funny. And while the soundtrack may not be available for sale, you can definitely hear it on YouTube, which I totally recommend. Check it out when you get the chance. It'll give you a little insight on how good the Sonic Mania soundtrack's gonna be. And I mean, we already heard a preview of Studiopolis, and that song's amazing. So yeah, that's why I'm very excited to hear Hydrocity Zone if that ends up being one of the stages in Sonic Mania. Got my fingers crossed. Oh boy, here we go. This isn't necessarily a fight, it's more of a survival. You don't have to fight Robotnik here. I mean, you can hit him if you catch up, but you don't necessarily have to. All you gotta do is just climb to the top, make sure you don't get hurt. Super easy. Well, I mean, easy for me since I kinda know how to do this already. Oh, and also, you gotta be very careful because there are no bubbles underwater here. Gotta do it pretty quickly. There we go. See? Easy as pie. Ugh. I should probably mention, it is a little late at night here, so if I'm starting to sound a little tired, that's kind of my fault, but that's because I really can't find a better time to play this game from start to finish without interruption, or little interruption. Alright, so now we're at Starlight Zone. And I gotta say, I love this song too. But this time, it's not because of the funkiness. I love the music of Starlight Zone because it's got this very nice lullaby type feel to it. This melody is very soothing. It's adorable. But also very, I don't want to say mystical, but it is very calm and soothing. Yeah, I love this song. And yet, we have fire hazards here. How about that? Gotta watch myself here. See, these are the enemies I'm talking about. You can't hurt them, so you just gotta let them slide across. I should have ducked the whole time there. Oh, by the way, remember how the previous stages were nothing but blocks? Suddenly, we now have a stage that remembers that it's a Sonic stage. I mean, there's still some blocky platforms here, but at least we get more slopes than the other stages combined. Also, I think this is the only other stage that has loops in it. I mean, Green Hill Zone had loops, but Marble Zone didn't. Neither did Spring Yard or Labyrinth. But now suddenly we got it here in Starlight. Isn't that weird? Let's see if we can find that loop. Provided I don't run into these enemies. See? There's a loop. I think the one other thing I really love about this stage is the really cool pseudo-looking 3D background. It's not actually 3D. It's an illusion where, you know, the stars that are closer to us in the foreground, or the background I should say, scroll by a little faster than the ones that are further back, creating this kind of cool background altogether. And actually, Green Hill Zone also used this same trick with the lake in the background. I'm a sucker for those kinds of effect. It's not quite Mode 7, but it's a really cool trick nonetheless. We do get to see more of that stuff in the later Sonic games. And once again, I gotta mention, Hydrocity Zone was one of those stages. Yeah, I really love that underwater level. Oh, crud. I thought I was about to fall into a bottomless pit there. There we go. Whew. As we get near the end of the game, I'm gonna end up focusing a little more because the stages do get a little harder from here on out. So forgive me if I end up being a little too quiet, but I do gotta focus a bit. But I'll do my best to keep commentary going. Whoa! Gotta watch that there. Ooh, another life. That doesn't make any sense. Hold on. Ah, come on. What the? Alright, there we go. Wait a minute. Do I have to go that way? Yeah, I think so, because I see rings. There we go. Want to make sure I have enough lives by the time I get to Scrap Brain Zone. Your fires can't hurt me. I got an invincibility on. But a bomb can hurt me. Oh boy. Whew. Getting there. I don't remember this platform. Probably the most dangerous looking platform in this entire stage. Lots of rings for me. Gotta be careful here. Bottomless pits are always the worst. Physics here. Gotta make sure you bounce on the very edge to make that ball go as high as it can to give you enough push. You know, the one thing I hate about these bombs is that you can try and attack it, it'll still hurt you. It's probably like the only enemy that you can't physically hurt, next to the yellow spiked creatures. Now this fight is actually pretty easy. Just gotta make sure you time these things correctly. You can either use these things to hit Robotnik, or you can propel yourself up to hit Robotnik yourself. Oh, bad timing on my end. Man. Yeah, bad timing here, man. I'm already screwing up a lot more than I should. There we go. I'm trying to show off here, but I think I'm doing a terrible job of that. So close, man. Okay, screw that. Enough goofing around. There we go. Much better. So far, so good. Scrap Brain Zone. Probably one of the most insanely twisted titles to come out of one of the stages for Sonic. I mean, have you ever heard of any stage that sounds similar to Sonic's Scrap Brain Zone? I mean, what does that imply anyway? Like, broken AI, destroyed robotics? I mean, yeah, it is a Robotnik lair after all, but, you know, I'm just spitballing here. Actually, hearing this song again, I'm reminded, this song was in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. And I always question, why? This song doesn't sound like something you would want to hear when you're fighting. I mean, yeah, you could use it in one of those build-a-stages in Smash where it makes it look like Scrap Brain Zone, but that's about the small extent of it. I think I ended up putting this song all the way down to very rarely when it came to music choices in Smash Bros. Brawl. Oh boy, gotta watch it here. This stage is nothing but traps. I hate it. You gotta be absolutely careful here. I mean, it's not even a matter of running fast, you'll run into something and get hurt. It's just a matter of if you run too fast, you'll end up falling into a pitfall and falling all the way to the bottom. And that sucks. Even Caterpillar comes back in this stage, and Caterpillars are probably like the worst types of enemies to run into. I remember this part. Hold on a sec. I want to see if I can no. I'm going to have to go forward. If I'm a little more careful, that is. No! See what I mean? Okay, so I got 3 lives. I got to make sure not to make any mistakes here. Yeah. The only way you'll know to get through there is with the rings themselves. Wait a minute. There was a way to go down there, right? Let me see. Yeah, but it's only for rings. Yeah, there is something down there. Whoa! Almost got hit by that fire. So much traps. Alright, much better. I'll see if I can get into that bonus stage so that I can at least get a continue to make sure that I don't make a big screw up here. Because I'll be honest, I did make a test run for Let's Play a little while earlier, but I ended up dying and I had to go all the way to the beginning. but I am very compelled to try to do an uncut playthrough here, so yeah. Forgive me if I'm being a little too focused and a little too quiet here. But I'll talk a little more if I gotta. Actually, I remember this stage was originally supposed to be called Clockwork Zone, right? I remember there was like early images that would suggest that this stage was originally called Clockwork Zone, but for whatever reason the W was wiped out, so it said Clockwork Zone. I don't know what that was all about, but it's just something to point out. I always thought that was weird. But to be perfectly honest, I think Clockwork Zone sounds like a really cool stage. We should get like a giant clock stage. I mean, the closest we'll ever get to something like that is in Sonic Unleashed, where you run up this tower in that Italian stage. I'm not sure if that's a clock tower, but if there isn't a clock tower stage, we should definitely have a clock tower stage. It'll be pretty cool seeing all these gears all around the area. Just, you know, throwing out the ideas there. Make it happen, Sega. And this is always a cool idea, rolling on these balls here, or whatever they're supposed to be. Of course, they don't work as well as they should here, but they were fixed in some of the later games, like Sonic 3. In Carnival Night Zone, they had something similar with those black balls. You know the one I'm talking about, right? Gotta be careful. Oh my god. Just need a ring. Just one ring will do. Oh, this is the part I dread the most. You gotta time your running here. Ooh! Almost messed it up. Alright. Let's go. Nice. Not nice. Come on. I hate those caterpillars. If you jump on their body, you'll get hurt rather than actually destroying them. But I seem to do a fairly good job of hitting them because I always aim for their heads. Normally you're supposed to run or roll forward into them, but I always like bouncing on their head just to show off a bit. Alright, just like earlier, gotta time my running here. Ooh, that was too close. And that random buzzsaw. Jeez. Ugh. Wow. I forgot how much traps there were in this stage. I mean, yeah, I know it's a Robotnik themed stage, so Robotnik wants to get rid of Sonic, but jeez. Man. I think we're almost there. You know, I'm not even going to word it. I'm not going to make any more comments anymore. Well, actually, no. I made it to the to Act 2, I should say. Oh, but what's this? There's more. Oh man, it's Robotnik. Oh, come on, I gotta break through. Oh no, I'm gonna fall down. Even though the stage is called Scrap Brain Zone, this is clearly just a gray version of Labyrinth Zone. And this is a far worse version of Labyrinth Zone because the bubbles actually take longer to come out. So you gotta be very careful in this part of the game. Whoa! Also, the rings start to disappear somewhere around the later half of this part. So I gotta start reserving those rings as best as I can. Now, I know this is supposed to be Scrap Brain Zone, but it's still kind of jarring to hear Scrap Brain Zone music when you're in Labyrinth Zone. What was once an original, nice, groovy song has been replaced with this military-type music. Oh boy. Are you gonna give me that bubble? There we go. Not taking any chances. Gotta grab as much bubbles as I can as I continue forward. There we go. Oh boy. Just gotta jump for it. There we go. Give me that bubble. There we go. You know, I wonder those enemies are supposed to be like the early prototype of Grounder from Sonic 2. Not the Grounder from the TV show, although I know that's what he was based off of. See? They got the drill nose and the wheels. Wouldn't really surprise me if that is the prototype version of Grounder. Come on. There we go. Oh, crud. Forgot about that part. Come on. Man, it takes way longer for that bubble to come out. Oh, no. Jeez. I'm gonna go back and get that bubble. Yep. Come on. Nope. Ain't gonna drown here this time. There we go. Oh, so much better now. Oh, boy. These random enemies, man. They're killing me. Oh, boy. I am not showcasing my skills as well as I want to. I am sorry for that. Oh, boy. That ain't cool. Let's go, let's go. Almost there. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Oh, there's the bubble thing. Oh, no. Crud. This is it. This is Ogre. Nope. Not gonna drown, baby. Man, the frame drops here are awful. I'm sure that's the game, not my computer. By the way, I'm actually playing this on Steam. I was originally gonna load this game through the hub, that Sega hub room, but for whatever reason, running a game through that hub slows down horribly. So now we've made it to Final Zone. This is actually a fairly easy boss battle. Just dodge these lightning bolts, wait for Eggman to come down, and hit him. You gotta be very careful though, because for some reason, if you stand on these edges, you'll do that tipping animation, which actually increases your hitbox. I wish they would have fixed that. That's always annoying. You just gotta like position yourself as well as you can. You also gotta get lucky and see which side of the pillar Robotnik is gonna be in. Because sometimes if you end up in the wrong position, you can either get squashed, or you won't even be able to reach Eggman at all. Ah, there we go. There we go. Just a few more hits. Ah, man. Come on. I could do this. Come on! I usually have good luck here, but for whatever reason, Robotnik seems to be doing a good job staying away from me this time. Nope, not this time. Oh, so close. Haha! So close. Yes! There we go! Robotnik trying to escape? I won't let ya. You can even hit him just as he's leaving. You can let him fly away. It makes no difference, I think. Woo! Ah, this actually turned out a lot better than I expected. Oh, yeah, I gotta turn off those Steam notifications the next time I do this. Yay! Now, if I was to get all 6 emeralds, I would have a better ending. But really, it's just, it showcases the Chaos Emeralds, and then Sonic does his usual pose. I love this credit music. It shows like it's basically a combination of all the songs we've heard just put together into this one really cool mix. I love it. Like the segues is what makes this song so great. Rolling around. Big Island. I wonder who that's supposed to be. Ah. I'm breathing a sigh of relief because I actually had a lot of troubles playing this game the first time around. I'm gonna be very honest now. But, you know, I sure hope you people enjoyed my playthrough. I'm sorry if I bored you, if I'm just rambling on, but I'm gonna do my best to make sure that my Let's Plays continue to be a little more interesting. I mean, I'm sure that with the Sonic series being so well known on the internet, I'm not exactly gonna bring anything new to the table, but I think it's a fun little project for me to be playing these old games, and like I said, I do intend to play through these Sonic games. I intend to play Sonic 1, which I already finished, Sonic 2, Sonic CD, Sonic 3, and Sonic and Knuckles. And all of this will lead up to Sonic Mania. And if there's a lot of time between now and Mania, I'll probably look into some other odd choices here and there before I get started with Sonic Mania. So, until then, catch you on the flip side. Thanks for watching. See you next time.